I wanted to talk a little bit about today, guys. Like, what are those important interview questions that you need to ask, right? Because I know when it comes to the interview process, a lot of people struggle with this. And so I definitely want to come and just share with you guys what are those seven important questions that you need to ask. And, you know, trust me, there are a lot more questions that you're able to ask, but I just want to kind of give you seven. And just disclaimer, this live stream is definitely talking about how the seven questions that you need to make sure that the job is going to be a good fit for you. So I know a lot of people, they are like, they want to be in the mode, so they want to impress and they want to be able to say these really cute questions, right? But what I want to help you guys to do today is to really know what are those important questions that you need to ask during the interview process to make sure that you're not wasting your time, to make sure that this is a good fit for you. So, for one, let me say this. I'm not somebody that found some basic questions on the internet. I was in HR for over 10 years. I've hired for thousands of positions. I've done thousands of job interviews. So know that the information that I am sharing with you is definitely going to be like inside scoop. So first of all, if you do not know me, my name is Alicia Perkins. I am a career development coach, and I teach stuck professionals how to advance in their careers and make more money on their terms. So if you're like, Alicia, I'm ready to go to that next level and definitely make more money in my career, where you are definitely in the right place. This replay will be saved, and I do have a free resource for you guys. It is in this particular live stream, I'm only going to go over seven questions that you need to ask, but I do have a resource for you that would allow you to get 14 questions. So to have these seven questions and also seven more questions as well. And that is going to be available absolutely free at I am Alicia Perkins slash 14 14 questions. And so that will be dropped below right after this live stream is over with. And so FYI, I do go live every Tuesday morning. I'm at 7:15 Central Standard Time. So let's go ahead and talk about this whole like interview process, right? And what are these top questions that you need to ask to make sure that you're not wasting your time, right? And so, for one, I want to switch your mindset. The interview process is not for you to go in and, I do want to like switch your mind that the interview process is not for you to go in and just say all of the right answers, right? But it is a time where you're going to go through this process to vet the employer to see whether or not they are going to be a good fit for you and if they are aligned with your current career goals, right? So these are definitely like no fluff. And, you should always be asking questions throughout this process. I know that people like to ask questions that will make them look smart. No, I want you to be able to ask the questions that is going to give you the answers that you need to make the best decision possible. So the questions that you ask needs to be based around what is important to you, and also they need to be strategic. So you don't want to throw out like random questions, right? You definitely want these questions to be geared towards what is important to you and what information are you going to need that is going to help you to be able to say yes. Okay, so if you see me looking down, I got my notes. Also, again, the interview process is not just about them seeing if you are a good fit, right? You got to be able to see if they are a good fit too. So let me say this: come with your questions. Come with questions. So the first one is this. The first question is, what would be the objectives I need to accomplish in this role in the first 30, 60, and 90 days? Right. And as I go through these questions, there's no particular order, right? I'm just giving you seven questions that you need to ask the hiring manager. Okay. A lot of times we go through the interview process, there is certain like steps that you have to go through. The first initial interview, in most cases, you are talking not to the actual person that you will have to work under. This is just somebody else on the team. But these questions are the questions that you need to ask the person that you will have to actually work with. So, again, first question is, what would be the objectives if I need to accomplish, right? I will need to accomplish in this role in the first 30, 60, and 90 days. And these are really, really important because the reason why they are important is because you need to see, what am I walking into, right? Am I having to like put out any fires? Am I having to like, did this last person just quit out the blue and now they're leaving a pile of mess? So really ask this question, hey, what are the goals that you are looking for me to accomplish in the next 30 and 60, 90 days? Now, you can have a really good idea on what kind of expectations they are trying to set for you. Like, are they one of the kind of people that, like, hey, you need to come in and hit the ground running, which is a red flag? Like, what does that mean? Right? Because everybody needs the ability to be trained, right? Because you may know how to do the job, but you need to know how they do the job there, right? And so every employee needs the opportunity to be able to come in and like get their feel. But if they have an expectation like, hey, we don't really have a really structured program in place, but we need X, Y, and Z done immediately. Okay. Not saying it's a bad thing all the time, but the expectation needs to be set because you have to be like, do I want to walk into this kind of mess? Because you definitely want to be sure, because this is the thing, it's kind of like a it puts you in a bad position sometimes because the first 90 days they are definitely looking at you saying, okay, did we make the right decision with her, right? So you need to be able to set yourself up for the best success possible starting off. So though you are still in that learning phase, you have to know that eyes are still on you. And so if you can be as prepared as you can to know, hey, what goals are you looking for me to actually do in those first 30, 60, and 90 days, hey, let me know now, right? And so they may not be able to give you the full scope of the job, but at least you being able to ask this question is going to be able to help them. You can hold them accountable to something. Hey, you didn't say that I was going to have to do all this, right? And it's really good because again, you know how you best perform. If you're one that you perform very well under like tight deadlines, under like stuff popping up out the blue, then you could possibly do well. But if you're like, Alicia, I really like to start a job and really get my feet wet and really evaluate before I just go all in, you being able to ask this first question, what would be the objectives I need to accomplish in this role in the first 30, 60, and 90 days can help what expectations is being set on you. Okay. Question number 2 is, what are the traits that I need to possess in order to succeed in this role? Right. Or you can kind of reframe that a different way. You can always also ask, people who are most successful in this position tend to possess what qualities, right? So with this particular question, you are now being able to see, okay, what do they expect me to bring? Right. And this is where you have to be really self aware and not being so caught up in, I want the job. But you need to be able to ask them, hey, what kind of traits do I need to succeed in this role? Because there are a lot of companies where they may want this cutthroat. You're very aggressive in your work. You'll do whatever it takes to get the job done, even if that means, you have to work 10, 12-hour days. And you might be like, mm-mm. I mean, you might be like, I don't mind working hard, but that hard? Mm-mm, right. And so you definitely want to be able to see, hey, what does the person look like that is going to actually succeed in this role? And another way that you can still be strategic with these questions, guys, is do follow up, right? So don't let them just say an answer and then you kind of move on. But even this question, when you're asking what kind of traits do you need to be successful in this role, follow up, right? If they saying that they need somebody who can think, somebody who can really bring together a team. Take advantage of that. If those are the traits that you possess. Good morning. I know the live stream was bootleg this morning. I had to completely create a whole new live stream. But anyway, good morning. But if you know that, hey, I have these traits to succeed in this role, when they give me the answer, I need to highlight that, right? And also follow up with a response that shows, hey, I have these skills that you need for this role, and also highlight that with your background and your experience. right? So don't just let them throw out an answer and then you move on. If you know that the answer that they share with you gives you an opportunity to shine and say, hey, yes, I have this trait and I've been able to use this trait to bring forth these results. Use it, friend, right? Again, when you're wanting to ask questions throughout the interview process, they need to be strategic, right? And this is a really good one. What are the traits I need to possess to succeed in this role? Another one is people who are most successful in this position tend to possess what qualities. Now, if you are just joining the live stream, I am going over the 7 most important questions that you need to ask the hiring manager to make sure that you are going to be a good fit for the role. I am already on question 2. I do have a free resource for you guys that has 14 questions that you can ask. I'm only going over 7, but you are able to get the full 14 at IamAliciaPerkins.com/store. It is completely free. I'll also have that drop below once this stream is over. So, and then, you need to be able to see what kind of person that they are wanting in this role. Like, do they want somebody that's only focused on money, 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 sales, sales, sales? And that's okay, right? If you like, hey, that's my thing, that's where I shine. But if you like, no, Alicia, I really care about the people that I serve and I want to work at a place that also shares that same value with me. That's fine too. You just got to be sure that the idea of success, right, is the same. All right. So, question number 3, and I'm going to first state it in the very generic way that most people say it. Most people will ask, what is your management style? Or most people will ask, what is your leadership style? Yeah, that's okay to ask in that way. It's really bland and it does not give them an opportunity to really get you a very specific answer because people can throw you a very fluff answer. Oh yeah, I love my team and I no, so with this question, you can definitely reword this question based upon what is important to you and the person that you have to work under. For instance, another way to kind of dig deeper with that question is you can say, what is your level of engagement with your team on a daily basis, right? Because how you are engaged with your team every day is still a management style, or it is a part of how you manage the team, right? And so you're able to reframe this question around what is important to you. What do you need to feel supported? What do you need to make sure that you know that the person that you work under, they have a level of respect for your expertise? So most people again will say, what is your management style? We're not saying it no more. We will dig deeper, right? An example of that is, what is the level of engagement that you have with your team on a daily basis, right? Meaning, if I need to know, are you a micromanager? I need to know, do you be all up in my face all day, right? And again, some people like that. Some people like to feel supported. Some people like to feel like they have their boss right there, right? Hey, if I need you, hey, but some people like, no, I need you to give me my room so I can do my job, right? There's no wrong or right. It's just, what about you? So when you are asking these questions, you definitely want to be sure that you ask on that certain thing that you need. Another way to have that reframed is when you say, how do you provide feedback, right? Or, excuse me, how do you provide feedback or coaching to your employees? Meaning, I need to know, as my manager, as my boss, right? How do you share feedback with me, or do you share feedback? Again, get as dig deep in a question as you possibly can. How often do you share feedback with your team, right? How often do you meet with your team? Asking those kind of questions, you're still wanting to know what is the management style, but now you're able to really dig in deep and really find out, okay, how is it working with you on a daily basis? So what you want to do is you want to write down, what are the traits that I want in my next boss? And you want the questions to be framed around that. If that makes sense, because if I need to, I will dig a little more into this because I don't want you guys to overthink this, right? Again, think about what are the traits that you need in a boss and frame your questions around those. And don't think I don't want to ask too many questions. No, because if you go in with the mindset, I'm quiet, I don't say nothing, they will expect you to stay that way after they hire you, right? But you do have a right to see, do I want to work for you? So don't start thinking if I ask too many questions, I probably won't get hired. No. And if they don't hire you because of that, you dodged a bullet, because that is definitely a sign of people that don't want to be held accountable. And so, the same way that they have a list of questions for you, friend, have yours as well. There's nothing wrong with that. Okay, so let's go ahead and go to question number 4. It says, how will my success be measured? Or another way you can ask that is, by what metrics will my performance be evaluated? Right? Again, you definitely, it's all about you setting expectations. So again, how will my success be measured? And what metrics will my performance be evaluated? So again, setting the expectations, making sure that you and the person that you're working under have the same idea of what success is, because you don't want to put all of your effort into a task or a duty that means so much to you but doesn't mean anything to them at all, right? So you definitely want to get really clear on, okay, how will you be able to decide whether or not I'm doing a good job? And that is crucial, right? Because you like, you know what, I don't want to be judged by a particular number or goal that I have to meet every month. That's too much pressure, right? But there are some people that thrive in those environments. They absolutely thrive in those environments, right? Because it gives them something to work towards. But you might be like, no, I would like you to judge me off of the amount of the actual effort that I put forth. Or if I am being judged by a goal, how often is this goal? Is this goal I have to meet every month, every 3 months, every 6 months? Get really clear on what is the metrics. And also, if this position is based upon metrics, you definitely want to see if in any way I was not meeting those goals, what plan or processes do you have in place to help me get there, right? You need to be able to sense this vibe of them. Are you guys one of those guys that's like, we done, bye, I'm fired? Or is there a time of grace where I'm able to get the extra training that I need to bring forth the results that you desire, right? Digging deep in these questions, right? Because now you can say, do I want to feel that amount of pressure every time I go to work, right? But again, some people thrive in those environments, right? I worked in those environments that too much pressure. Just said it, too much pressure. And that's why it's about you being self-aware and being able to see, I got to be able to put myself in positions where I can learn, true, but also where I'm able to thrive. All right. My next question is, what is a strategy of your excuse me, I typed this wrong. What is a strategy for this company for long-term sustainability of this position, right? And this is really important, especially right now. You guys know we are in the middle of a recession, right? I don't even know. Are we in the middle of it? Have it started? I don't know. But they say it's here, it's almost here, it's everywhere, right? But now that we are in a really uncertain time, we need to be able to see, right? It's important for you to be able to see, okay, is this position stable? Right? Are you guys aware of what is happening? Are you guys trying to create strategies to make not only this position stable, but also you guys as a whole? Right? And this gives you opportunity to see, like, where are you at? And do not think just because they are hiring does not mean they are stable. You guys have seen it, right? Over the probably since January, layoff after layoff, right? People literally getting job offers, right? The job offer being snatched away from them. These people have left their other job, right? So just because you see that a company is hiring definitely does not mean that they are stable. And of course, anytime you leave a job for another job, there's always going to be a risk, but you need to be sure that you're doing everything you can to make sure that you make that risk as less as possible. And that's why it's really important for you to be able to ask them, hey, what are the strategies? What are the new developments? Are you guys doing something new in your space? How are you guys being able to maintain that competitive edge to make sure that this company is stable in these uncertain times? There's nothing wrong with you asking that, especially if you are leaving a job that is stable to do something else. Please be sure, right? And then also with this question, it really allows them to be able to share with you where are they trying to go, right? And that gives you an opportunity to decide if you are in agreement with where they are trying to go. Be like, I think y'all trying to change up stuff, right? Or this don't sound too sure, right? You know what I mean? And so when you ask those questions, now you're really able to go in and see, okay, how stable are you guys in here? How proactive are you guys? How forward thinking are you guys when it comes to this? And I think that will, for one, allow them to see how serious you are about the role, but it will also allow them to start even thinking themselves, wow, this person wants to know what's going on, setting that expectation, right? Knowing that if you hire me, I want to know what is going on. And that's why going through the interview process, don't put on who you are not, right? Because you don't want anybody to hire you based upon what they think you are. You want them to hire you based upon who you are, because who you are trying to act like you are will eventually wear off, right? And you don't want them to be like, who is this we hired, right? Not saying that you go through the interview process all loosey, right? Just doing whatever, but you definitely need to go in with a personality that you lead with that work. If you know you are one that you like to know what's going on, you like to really ask a lot of questions, you like to engage with the person that you are speaking with, make sure that that comes off in the interview process so they can hire you based upon who you really are, and they're not feeling like, oh, she tricked us. No. And then it really is a mindset thing, because when you feel like I have to be a certain way to be accepted or to be hired, you have now told yourself that you are not good enough. And that's a word for somebody. You have now trained yourself to believe that you are not enough alone. And so now you have to create this person who you are not. And let me tell you something, you are enough. And if they don't feel like you are enough, then that is not the company for you. And it's time for you just to keep on searching for the company who wants to hire you, not who you are trying to be. All right. So before I go into this last questions, I don't know, I have two more questions. I do want to do a really quick recap of the questions that I went over so far. First question is, what will be the objectives that I need to accomplish in this role in the first 30, 60, and 90 days? What are the traits I would need to possess in order to succeed in this role? Or you can also ask that, people who are most successful in this position tend to possess what qualities? Another question, well, the bland question people ask is, what is your management style? But you can definitely dig deeper with that and ask questions like, what is your level of engagement with your team on a daily basis? Or another question you can ask is, how do you provide feedback or coaching to your employees? And depending on what you need, dig deeper on that one. What is the strategy for your for this company for the long term sustainability? I can't even talk today. Long term sustainability. God, why can I say that? Okay, so those are the 5 questions that we have went over so far, and now I'm getting ready to go over the last 2. You ready? Okay, so question number 6 is, what is the vision for this role? Super important. You need to see how much thought have they given this role, how structured this role is. Is there a structured training process for this role? Is there a growth plan for this role? Or is the idea is just to kind of like shove you in this role and give you like random assignments to do, right? And this is why a lot of people are like, man, well, first of all, they're like, I was hired for this, but now I'm doing this. That lets you know that there was no true vision for that role. They just kind of threw it together, right? Or sometimes they know that they just need these other tasks done, so they combined all of those tasks and they make it one job. Is that a bad thing? Yes and no, right? It's not a bad thing when, again, because there are certain times and certain seasons where a certain adjustments has to be made, right? And so as the role goes on, they then start to form and really come into a really clear concept of what that role needs to be, but that happens over time. And if that's the case, that's fine. They need to be honest with you about that, though, right? They need to say, hey, hey, this role is new, or we are in the middle of trying to tweak some things with this role. Ask what those tweaks are and just get a clear idea of what is the long-term vision for this role, right? And, again, you definitely need to be sure you know yourself, right? If you don't do well in unorganized environments, like myself, I don't like stuff that is unstructured. Like that just overwhelms me. I need some kind of an outline. Like I need a goal. I don't need every step, but I need a step. I just need one step. So I don't do good with a lot of like random things. If you notice, even on my live stream, I got notes. I just don't do well with that. So, and when I say I don't do well, meaning I can do it, but I'm not going to thrive in it. Right. So when you know yourself, when you're like, man, look, I need order and I need structure. Well, then this is a good question for you to ask because now you can kind of, for one, if you decide to accept the role, which if you do, there's nothing wrong with that, just know the expectations. Know that, hey, when I get here, I'm probably going to have to be like trying to learn things on my own. I will probably have to ask a lot more questions or things of that sort. But if you want that, if they're like, hey, this role is kind of new, or we're still trying to make changes to this role and see what this role could be down the road, and that makes you excited because you like to create and you like to improve and you love to streamline, hey, this can allow you to really operate in your zone, in your flow, and you can really like show up and serve, right? So you got to know you though. If you like, look, Alicia, I've been working 15, 20 years. I'm done with all of that kind of stuff. I'm ready to really be in a role that is more structured, right? That is more just more aligned. There's nothing wrong with that either. But just knowing yourself, okay? Like do not let them throw you into to some firestorm. No firestorm, right? But just getting really clear on what you need. Because that's the thing, and I keep saying thriving, right? Because I'm really big on that. I'm really big on you being able to show up and show out. Because for one, it opens up more opportunities for you, and then it makes you feel so good, right? It's a difference between you thriving and you surviving, right? And a lot of you guys have just been in survival mode, right? You want to show up more at work, but you don't have the energy to, right? Because the energy may be you having to deal with a toxic environment, or that energy could be used on you having to deal with a bad boss, right? And so you like, I want to be able to show up and show out at my job, but I can't do that because I'm so focused on putting out all of these fires because the environment that I'm working in is just a mess, right? So if you are now in a place in your career, a client, I was speaking to a client this week, and I said, look, I say, you've been doing this for 15 years. I say, you have come to the place in your career in that you deserve to work in a position that you can enjoy. I said, own that. Right. And she started crying. Right. And I said, own it. And there's nothing wrong with you saying, man, I want to make good money and I want to be able to enjoy what I do. There's nothing wrong with that. Own it. And told her that she has now come to a place in her career that she deserves that, because when you are first starting out with no experience, right? When you and that, I would say, probably like your first 4 or 5 years, when you really haven't had the opportunity to really get the results and all that kind of stuff, you're still trying to figure out where you fit and all that other kind of stuff. You may have to bend some, right? Because now you're in this mode of, hey, I have to build up my skills, right? But once you are in a position to where you are solid, you've been in this thing 8, 10, 15, 7, even that amount of years. And you've earned the right to be able to make good money and also enjoy what you do. But I think we get in the mode of always surviving, 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 surviving. And we always feel like we have to choose. And that's not true. No, it's not true. Right now, it will take work. it will take strategy, right? It will take you sitting down and getting even more clear on what is the value that you want to bring in the job market, right? But it's not impossible. And so when you start feeling like I think I am wanting to ask for too much because I want to be able to make more money and enjoy what I do. Like, who told you that? And I think and this shows up in the interview process, right? When you want to ask these cute questions. What's the culture like here? I get where you're going, right? But you come to a point in your career, you deserve the right to ask the tough questions, right? Where, hey, like I gotta see, do I want to invest my time and my skills? Right. And so stop feeling like I don't have the right, right? Because they feel like and they know that they got the right to ask you all kinds of questions. Some of the questions have nothing to do with the job, but they ask you all the questions because they feel like they have a right. Well, hey, if you're hiring me to come in and solve a problem with you with the skill set that I have built up with my money, sweat, tears, and time, I have a right to come in and ask the same questions and ask tough questions, right? So own that. Now, let's go ahead and move on to the last question. How do you see this role? How do you see this role assisting in and improving the weaknesses of this department, depending on the kind of position it is, or this team, right? Again, how do you see this role assisting and improving the weaknesses of this department or this company? Again, you need to start seeing like, where do I fit in the midst of all of this, right? Do I want to play this part of the process? Then you need to be able to see, again, like I say, is this fit? Is this role going to really allow you to be able to, operate in your zone of genius, or is it going to stress you out, right? Because and I keep talking about what part of the process does it play because that's really important, right? Because when you think about any kind of position plays a part, whether that part is the one that builds it, whether that part is the part that finds the gaps in the hole, whether that part streamlines it, whether that part, whatever, is going to play a part, right? So that's why it's even important for you to really start thinking about what is your zone of genius. I know you guys have heard that. Like, what task are you doing or environment you're in where you can get in your flow? Not what you do well, right? Because the zone of genius is what you do well and what you enjoy. It's them both. So start thinking about, hey, Alicia, I can manage a project. I do it well, but I don't enjoy doing it. But what I do enjoy doing is streamlining. I like to take something and make it better. I don't want to manage it. I just want to make it better. That is my flow, right? I don't have to ask for help. I'm not stressed out. I get into this deep mode and I become so focused. And this is where I bring forth my best results, right? So that is definitely your zone. So start thinking about the position that you are wanting to apply for. Does it allow you to show up in that zone? How often can you show up in that zone? Is it allowing me to thrive? Is it allowing me to show off my strengths? And so when you ask this question, how do you see this role assisting in improving the weaknesses of this department or this team? That really gives you a really solid idea. And also what it's going to help you also is you also can have this flipped. So you just ask, how does this position help you in how does this position support them in their weak areas? Also ask them about their strengths, right? How does this particular role assist in being an asset to the team's strengths? Again, where do you fit in all this? Right? Where are you able to show up in all of this? Oh, what is this? Oh no, friend, you gotta go. Block you. Okay. So it's and when you're able to kind of see, where you fit into all this, not only do you see where you fit, but you can also see where you go, like where you can go, right? How far this actual position can lead you. What are some of the new skills that you're able to learn in this new role? So you see how us being able to really unfold all of this, how it helps you to really show up. It makes you feel good in what you do. And again, there's no perfect job. And There's always a chance that you can go in the interview process and you can ask all of these questions, and guess what? They can say a lie, or they can tell you one thing in the interview process and then you start and it's a completely different story. Hey, it can happen. But now that you've asked these questions, now you have something to hold them accountable to. Say, hey, no, the reason I accepted this position is because you said X, Y, and Z, right? Because this is the thing. The reason why they hired you is because you said X, Y, and Z. And you said that if you hired me, I'll be able to bring forth those results. And guess what? They are holding you to that. So now that you've been able to ask them those tough questions, now you can hold them to something. And that's why I wanted to give you guys these particular questions so you can have something to go into your next interview with. And even you having these kinds of questions is going to change the focus off of pick me, hire me, please. And you being able to ask these kind of questions is going to be able to shift the focus of, do I want to work for you? Right? Changing the focus, because when you change the focus, it's going to change how you actually show up. Again, I do have a free resource for you guys. The resource is 14 questions that you can ask the hiring manager. I did only go over 7 of these on here. So there are in the list, it is these 7 questions, and I gave you an additional 7 more questions. You are able to get that absolutely free at IamAliciaPerkins.com/14 questions. If you have any comments or questions, you can go ahead and drop those below. Remember that I am going to be going live every Tuesday at 7:15 a.m. Central Standard Time. If you are not able to make these live streams, they will be saved on my page. Starting in the next week or so, I will also drop a video every week on here on a certain topic. So if you have any ideas or topics that you want me to speak, email them to me at hello@IamAliciaPerkins.com. That is hello@IamAliciaPerkins.com. I'm going to give you guys a minute or two, because I know sometimes the chat is kind of slow, and I want to be sure that you guys don't have any additional questions. So please let me know, guys, if this live stream chat was able to really help you. I hope it was really able to help transform the way that you think about the interview process. So you don't go in so scared and so thinking I can't say anything, right? Because you never want to feel like I don't want to come off a certain way. No, you need answers to make a sound decision, and don't feel bad about that ever. And if they try to make you feel bad about it, that's a sign. So you definitely want to, as you are wanting to ask these particular questions, look how they respond. If you ask these questions and the other person is like, because they will show up the same way after they hired you when you want to actually ask something. So I don't think there's any more questions in the chat box. I'm going to go ahead and let you guys enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you guys next week. Bye.